and
How like did you pick up all this knowledge? Like, how did you go about that?
dude, YouTube came out at a great time. YouTube came out right when I was literally, I think I was like 14, 15. And bro, imagine, like, I didn't even know what word to look up. So I think the first thing I typed into YouTube was motivation.
Okay.
So for motivation, I typed in motivation, and then from there you just start seeing like Think and Grow Rich, and you start seeing these like motivational speeches, and you start seeing like the Tony Robbins of the world. And then I start reading Tony Robbins books, start reading Think and Grow Rich books, and you start like, oh, interesting. And then like I got approached, I think like in 7th grade. I was like, again, like 15 years old, for like some network marketing company, you know, back in the day called Amway, I think it was.
I remember that.
Yeah, so I went to one of those meetings, and like hearing those people talk and how they did things, like the books they were reading, and like I picked all that up so fast that I just went home and I was like, okay, this is it. Yeah. If I don't have a mentor, if I don't have any like guidance, I gotta depend on network marketing and like, or these certain like tools, self-knowledge, personal development. That's it.
And it takes a special type of person to seek that out. I think I something similar happened to me where somebody gave me or left in my car you remember the old CD books, like back in the day when CDs were like where you have so you get in your car, and before you take off, you gotta flip through the pages to find what CDs you want to play.
Yeah, I remember that.
And in the back, I'm like, let me see what this person has in here, and they had an entire series of Tony Robbins, like Unleash the Beast Within, whatever one of those,
Power Within,
the Giant Within or Power Within. And I'm like, bro, let me pop this in. And it was a similar thing. It was like, this is what I got to be listening to. This is where my mindset should be. These are the books I should be reading. But it takes a certain type of character and personality to.
So it's funny because like I wonder what happened in that moment that made you take out that CD and put it in, right? Like,
yeah.
Because there's a certain like itch to learn, right? Because I feel like you could have done that. You could have seen that and just been like, "What's this crap?" And,
what an idiot!
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but the fact is, something was already in you to seek that knowledge, and that's what you popped in. So like similar to me, like why did I type in motivation in my thing? Like, I think it gets to a point where, at least for me, I feel like I was so lost, and I feel like I had no real direction, that I was yearning for direction, you know? So I was like, let me find, like, where's my outlet to at least start, you know? And
watching those videos led you to do what? To start, like, entrepreneurial things?
100%. After that, we, you know, like, I would read all that stuff, read those books, and I started doing Law of Attraction. So I started testing it out, and I started thinking about, like, well, what can I attract right now? And I'm thinking I have mind powers or something, you know?
Yeah.
You get really into it. And I think the first thing I did was like, okay, like, let me figure out how to make money, you know? And you start thinking about different ways of making money. And then that's when I like threw my first like house party. Okay. You know, like I would go out with my older brother and all his high school friends, and I would just collect phone numbers on my cell phone.
Okay.
Literally had hundreds. At the time, it was a flip phone, so you could only group text 10 at a time.
That's right.
And bro, I just started 10 at a time, and I'm just like text blasting all these popular kids to come to my house parties, and I would pack them out, man. 45 minutes, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
I would slam a house party, and I would charge guys $5, girls free.
Okay.
And we made a good amount of money that way. And then obviously I was terrible with my finances. I wish I had you around back then. And then I would literally, bro, I was making like $1,000 a night sometimes 2,000, 3,000.
15 years old.
15 years old. What do? I blow all that money on like buying clothes every weekend. Like I would give money to my mom. The same night I'll buy all my friends McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like just very silly like kid things, you know?
Kid with money things.
Kids with money things actually kids with no like guidance
and responsibilities.
Really, yeah. And nothing, man. That was it for a while. And then after that, like I still yearned for entrepreneurship. And I think the biggest switch for me, I put up a post, or I was looking on Craigslist or something, like one of those job places for like a job, and I just want to be someone's personal assistant. I said like I need to learn from a business owner 100%. And I saw a guy's post. It was like a paragraph. It was like a Craigslist thing, like looking for entrepreneur mindset, who wants to learn, and business assistant or whatever. I was like, should I apply? I gave him kind of like my little spiel, like, look, I'm super interested. I want to learn this and that, whatever. And the guy called me like the same day, like super cool. You know, me and him became really good friends after. And dude, I learned from him. I just shadowed him.
Okay.
I learned internet marketing. I learned like sales copy. So he owned a healthy meal delivery service.
Okay.
And we operated out of a restaurant overlooking like Star Island. It was beautiful. It was like insane.
Oh, shit.
And it was just 4 people on a laptop. We divided the restaurant with like this divider, and we're just on our computers, man. This is like laptop lifestyle was just coming out, like that whole work from remote. And I just learned everything from this guy, bro.
That's awesome.
Sales copy, internet marketing, sales, building a team. I had a 20-person sales team in the Philippines at the time. This is like 7-8 years ago. Learned a lot.
You pick up a lot.
And then from there, man, I couldn't stop.
And you spun off from him? Like, you told him, like, hey, I feel like I'm ready, I'm going to go.
Yeah. So, like, they offered me a piece of the company at one point, and at that point, I was just like, dude, I've learned everything. Like, there's nothing else I can learn. Because obviously the pay wasn't amazing. It was decent. Obviously, they're going to keep me at a certain point. And then once they offered me equity in the company, I was like, okay, they already know that I'm already getting, like, bored of this. So I just took off, man. And I was like, I got to do my own thing. And I opened up this other business and kept going from there.
That's awesome. You know, and that approach is, and Gary Vee talks about it a lot, like humbling yourself down and saying, hey, YouTube can only take me so far. The combination with YouTube and getting a mentor and learning from somebody else really is that next level thing. But you mentioned something interesting, which is at some point I've already learned everything. And it's not you think you're hot shit and you're done with everything. It's more like I'm ready to take the next step. Because living at the edge of your comfort zone, to me, is really what pushes you to that next level constantly. So you probably find yourself at a comfort zone already. I'm like, hey, I've learned. Now it's time to put that knowledge into action. And then you went and you did it. That's props. Not a lot of people could do that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate. And the thing is, I feel like now I revisit that a lot. So I get to a certain level of my life, and then I kind of almost, people say they self-sabotage, but like I definitely, like, I make myself become bored of it. So like I think I hit a certain level, like, you know, from where I was. I built another company, I killed it, and then I was just like, okay, once I lose that fire for the business, I'm out. Like my switch goes off completely. And I think that's so important to like making sure you're always passionate with your company, because then what's the point of having it? Yeah, it keep making you money, but you're just like, you're never gonna be happy at the end of the day.
Correct.
So I think every time I get to that point, I do something crazy. Like my other marketing company, I got tired of it, and I just like, I took off to Thailand for like 3 months, and I lived there remote. And I was working remote, and I still had the business managing it, but I wanted to just, okay, I need to find the next level. I learned everything I needed to do. I built a company. I had interns. I had employees. Crushed it. And then now the next level is like, okay, how do I now get to that next level of business and mindset, etc. And I was all about money, work. I was never about peace, freedom, mental health, etc.
Okay.
So now, like, I think that's like the next phase, right? And then I think ultimately you just want to have a balance of everything.
Yeah.
But for me, I had to go to that next phase first, you know?
That's dope. And how do you, because you mentioned something interesting. A lot of people launch a business and they say, this is going to be my lifetime, my Facebook. And not every business, and I talk to people about this often, it's like, there's only one Facebook, there's only one Google. Like, very few people found a business, they're founders of a business, and that business lasts their lifetime. Most of the times, there's a life cycle of a business, and it's okay for a business to start and end. It served its purpose for that period of time.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're an entrepreneur at heart, not necessarily like a product person. Some people are, I know how to make cups. I'm going to make cups, and this is my business.
Right.
You are more of like constant growth, learning, and you're doing that through entrepreneurship. Is that
Absolutely.
correct?
Yeah, it's your university. I mean, I didn't go to university. Dropped out of college, man. So it's like, you know, you have to figure out like where am I going to feed my brain, my soul? Like there's no book out. I mean, there's books out there, but there's no like class you can take that's going to say, hey, this is how you like become a fulfilled human being.
Correct.
You know, which is the ultimate goal, right? I don't care how much money you have. It doesn't matter. You feel with a ton of something, but like a lot of emptiness. So Absolutely. It's like, how do you figure it all out? And then meanwhile, while I'm doing all that, it's like, how do you also structure yourself financially to be able to survive those ebbs and flows?
Yeah, man.
Which is huge. Like what you helped me do already is just like kind of figure out like, okay, like, well, this is how you should structure everything.
Yeah.
You know, this is how like, you know, this is where the different buckets you deposit in, and then this is how you should like file taxes, and this is how you set yourself up for business credit and all that stuff. People don't. That's another thing that people don't really understand. Like I think that's a major thing, because even if you're a type of person that has a lot of high risk in your life, you still need to have some kind of like certainty in your income.
Absolutely.
You know, that's I think a huge thing for me. So yeah, man.
And one of the cool things, and that's kind of what brought me to that world was, people don't necessarily think about sustainability in their businesses, right? So like you have a hot product, you open a Shopify and you partner with the right people, you do the right marketing, or maybe you hit the market at the right place at the right time and you're making a killing. But there's a lack of structure around the product where eventually the business starts to falter or it hits a cap on its growth. And when you look back at it, well, you're not doing your business financials. You don't have a proper HR infrastructure, so people are leaving. So the people that made you successful are now moving on to other places, which is kind of what happened with you in that place. So there's a lot of little things that business owners could do to put themselves in that position to have a sustainable business and end up, for example, with you and the nightclubs, which is you don't necessarily have to be there every day, but you've basically set the foundation, the proper foundation. So now that business gives you a stream of income for the rest of your life, for as long as it's open, and you can go on and do other things. A lot of people are like, they create jobs for themselves by opening up their own business.
Yes.
And then that creates unhappiness. That takes away time for your family. That takes away from you living the life that you want to live.
Yeah, and the thing is, you just don't know, right? For me, it's like, you don't know if someone's happy that way. You never know, right?
Yeah.
Somebody just might, their whole goal in life was to create a job for themselves and have this business and live their business and do everything about it. And that's amazing. However, I never thought about that. That was never my goal when I wanted to be an entrepreneur. My goal to be an entrepreneur is like have my businesses work for me and have a lifestyle that sustained me, not the other way around. I don't want to sustain my business, right?
Yeah.
So I learned that early on. So I said, look, it takes sacrifices, right? Like, obviously, if I don't have a ton of money, I can't just be like, oh, I'm an investor here, I'm an investor there, investor there. That's the first thing everyone tells me is like, oh, how did you start all these businesses and all these businesses? I'm like, I just gave up what people don't like to give up. Sometimes I give up control of the company. Sometimes I give up some income of the company, which is pretty decent if you know how to structure it correctly and you know where your value is. Because if you have value, you're not going to be let go of it. No one's going to try to do you wrong in that business. You're indispensable. Yeah. And you have to have leverage. So a lot of the times I always make sure in all my companies I'm giving as much value as possible so that you can't really, say that I'm not contributing, even though I also sacrifice like the finances of it. Sometimes I don't take as much as my other partners sometimes, but guess what? With that comes freedom to open up other projects, so I don't mind having a bunch of different buckets paying me, even if it's smaller amounts, because to me, lifestyle and balance is more important.
Yeah, and that's key. I don't think a lot of people are thinking as far ahead as you are. Maybe it was the motivational videos and all these things, right. But a lot of people stop at money. And a lot of other people stop at passion. Like, I have a passion for this product. Our artists are like that. Like, they're like, yes, I have a passion for art. This is what I want to do. And if there's money in it, fine. And there's not. And you don't necessarily have to sacrifice one for the other. You're talking about law of attraction. And I don't know how spiritual you got in it. But if you go deep enough down the road of Think and Grow Rich and The Secret and attracting what you're after, you slowly realize that it really is all a mindset. So I think we're taught early on, if you're going to follow your passion, don't think about the money. If you're after money, you're going to do whatever it takes, but not necessarily something you're passionate about. I don't know if you've heard this concept called Ikigai. It's in an island in Japan called Okinawa. Okay. And it's a mindset, or it's a way of living, really, in that island where, by the way, it has the highest life expectancy in the world.
It's one of those like blue zones or something like that, maybe?
Well, the average life expectancy there is 105 years old.
Okay.
But people, through their lifetime, reset themselves. And they find their Ikigai. And the Ikigai is that intersection between what you love, what makes a big difference in the world, what you get paid to do. And the last one is... did I say what makes a difference in the world? What makes a difference in the world, what you love, what you're good at, and what you get paid to do, right? So it's an intersection of things. Good balance. And by people going through this, like, they get to the burnout phase and they're like, okay, I'm done with this project. I got to go to Thailand like you did and find my next passion, my next love. They find their Ikigai and all of a sudden they're customer service reps at a clothing store. But they love what they do. They're helping people. They're getting paid. They're making a difference. The next thing you know, they're the best customer service. So the island has the best customer service in the world. They have the longest life expectancy. People are happy. People are making money. Everybody's doing what they were meant to do during that period of time. And you're not going to be the same right now that you're going to be at 60. You're not the same as you were at 25. So
of course not.
Realizing that you do have phases in your life and you get to hit these reset buttons and get to the next level, to me it was like a mind opener.
Oh, it's amazing.
It was unbelievable. And I did go deep down the spiritual rabbit hole of like what it means to manifest, what it means to meditate and really visualize what you're after and saying, I'm going to wake up every single day and put my body, mind, and soul in a position to go after what I'm really looking for. And every time I hit one of those phases where like, man, this phase ended for me. Like, I'm done with this part right here. I left my previous startup and I said, I think I've given this all I got. I have my shares. The business is running smoothly, but in order for me to grow, I got to go to the next level. I got to go somewhere else. Once you're done with that, and I'm sure it happened to you the same way, you really feel it. You really are like, man, that stage ended. I'm starting a new stage. And you start with the same issues, the same anxiety, the same, what am I going to do? Trying to figure it out. Maybe you did it in Thailand and it was nicer. Yeah. But you're still like, damn, I have a blank sheet of paper in front of me. Where 100%. Do I start? Yeah. That's fucking crazy.
The blank canvas like mentality that you're saying is huge, right? Because I think what prevents people from moving forward and like actually getting what they're supposed to do in life is just like all the other stuff that they thought they need to do and they thought they had control over them. But when you release all that, like burdens, like anger, traumas, and all this like stories that you've been telling yourself for years and years that have nothing to do with what real life is, you just like, you crush it, right? Like, why can't you leave that company after being there for 6 years? Like, why? What's the real reason? Oh, financial. I can't do that. I have a family. I'm like, and then again, we're not saying everyone's situation is the same, but like, you shouldn't sell yourself short. Why can't you do both? Yeah. Why can't you still be there while building something else out? It's an adjustment and it's being uncomfortable, and nobody likes doing that.
You hit the nail.
You know what I mean?
Being uncomfortable.
People just have to be uncomfortable. Like, dude, I don't like doing all the stuff I do. However, like, I'm happy with the way my life is going. That's why I have like, sometimes I feel like unlimited energy. Like, it's because I'm already, what wakes you up? Sometimes you don't need caffeine to wake you up. Sometimes you just need to be on fire about life.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people need to get to feel their true potential, their true power. Absolutely, and it's like getting to the point you're saying, like figuring out like where that happy medium is.
Yeah.
And I totally believe it. There's some people that they're happy as hell, and it's so funny, man, because I'm a very hybrid when it comes to this, because I love to make money. I love business. Like, yes, I would love to aspire to own tons of buildings and this and that and property and like impact the world with billions of dollars. 100%. Like I shoot for the moon. However, I'm not gonna sacrifice my mental health, my peace, and like just like certain things that have importance to me to get there.
Yeah.
So if I have to do that, like, why would you sell your soul to the devil, essentially? Like, why would you? What's the point? Because you're gonna get there and you're gonna feel miserable for the rest of your life because you did certain things and certain shortcuts, or you ignored certain people, when you could rather figure out what works for you and then scale that, right? Like, what kind of lifestyle works for you and then scale it. The problem is, again, it's just like, these are just bubbles that people get put into where they're like, oh, I have to sit in this 9 to 5. I have to work there 10 years. I got to get the retirement. I got to do this. But there's so many cool things and tools and ways, like, a ton of financial tools that you've talked about to me, like, earlier. And like, there's ways for me to like, obviously still live your life as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and taking these risks, but still being good financially for your family.
100%.
401ks at a corporate job aren't the only way to have a good investment situation,
a good retirement,
and a good retirement. There's a million other ways.
Yeah, correct.
So it's just crazy though, because now if you're awakened to that information, I think you'd be a little bit more prone to taking some risk and doing adjustments in your life.
I think awakening is a key thing, and you clicking or typing motivation into YouTube at 14, like, opened that awakeness. It's like me popping in that Tony Robbins CD. But you mentioned two things that to me are key is patience. Like, I don't think people have patience. You start making a little money, and then right away you go buy the new car, and right away you go into get yourself into debt, and next thing you know, you depend on that 9 to 5 in order to keep the lifestyle you're living. If you're willing to live uncomfortably, to live bit. When I say below your means, people think you gotta like live in a couch or something.
Sardines and like,
no, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is like, be financially responsible so you put yourself in that position. And I talk to my athletes about this all the time, because it's easy to say it to somebody that's in a 9 to 5, you should be more responsible. But it also happens at a higher level when somebody signs an NFL contract and they're going to make $6, $7, $10 million guaranteed. And next thing you know, it's really, really, really easy to not invest your money or not be wise about your expenses. And next thing you know, you have a $10,000 chef and a $15,000 driver. And like, you have all these expenses that you don't necessarily need. I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy your lifestyle. You've earned it. But if you think past your 20s and your 30s, bro, I'm about to hit 40 years old and I'm just getting started. Like, I don't even think I've hit my prime yet. So it's
100%.
If you are patient and you're confident in the fact that the money you're making right now is just a portion of the wealth you're going to create, then you might be making a lot of money for being 33. But when you're 43, you're not going to be making the same money. You're going to be making more. If you're confident about your ability to do that, then you're not rushing to live the lifestyle. You're not rushing to get the Bentley, you're okay with a Beamer, and you're okay with, you know, a Range Rover. You know the Ferrari will get there. Next thing you know, that gives you patience, and when you get to that patience, then you do what you did earlier, which is, let me structure myself. I know I'm about to hit home runs right now. I know I'm coming out of my little hiatus and I'm about to hit a home run. So let me structure myself properly so I don't have to think about finances. Finances are taken care of. I have a game plan, and I can actually go run and make history.
It's huge. It's huge.
It's
Especially, I mean, you touched on so many good points, but like for me, I think it's just, it starts off like you said, it's hard not to have a mentor. Like there's families that set you up like, hey, this is our family tax, you know, advisor. This is our family accountant. You know, this is our attorney. You know, you're set up, right? You surround yourself with the right team. And when you don't have those things, you're just kind of, you're when you're lost, you're roaming, and when you're roaming, your bills go up. That's like one of my favorite quotes.
Yep.
So it's not to be lost, have direction, you know, and then understand when you shouldn't be doing such high risk things, right? So I think in my 20s, high risk is everything, right? Like I love risking. I was very aware in my early, you know, teens and 20s. I was like, I'm gonna risk everything. I'm gonna try all the businesses I want to do. I want to do everything like that. But cool. As I approached to 30, you know, I just turned 31 this last year. I'm like, okay, I still take risks.
Shift.
But now I have safety nets, and now I have I want to have like my finances in order so that I can still take these risks, but I have very good reserves. I have very good structures. I have investments that are paying me, because it's reality. You don't want to work harder as you get older. You want to work, you know, less. You want to do what you love, but work less, right?
Absolutely.
You don't want to have to work. You get to work, right? So I think that's the flip when you're like, it's stuck in that financial constraint where like I have this over, I think that I paid way too much for, et cetera, et cetera. It's a scary situation. But yeah, man, like, and I think nobody realizes that once people that do get those nice cars and like these nice things, I'm sure they sacrifice for a while. Like if it sustains for them, if they can keep that for a while, they had 2 or 3 years where they were eating, you know, like ramen noodles or like tuna cans. Like, man, I've been in situations where I split a cheeseburger 3 ways with 2 of my boys in my first startup.
There
like,
you go.
You know what I mean? Like,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
But does everyone hear those stories? No, they see like, oh, nice car. This guy owns this. He owns that. He's blowing money. He eats out every day. Like, no one ever sees those. They only see the highlight reel. So I think I hope people get encouraged to like realize like, yes, it's good you get pulled back a little bit, but when you shoot forward, it's lasts forever. You know,
absolutely.
Like steadfast growth, not just like quick growth.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about struggle though, because you're absolutely right. Like everybody talks about Apple starting in a garage and the whole thing, and it's easy to see a $1 billion company and say like, oh, that's a cool story, but there's a bunch that don't make it to be a $1 billion company, but there's still like a $30 million company is an awesome company, and it'll give you a tremendous lifestyle, and it could start out of your garage on the side while you have a full-time job, right? So what are some of the struggles that you had in your 20s, right? Because you said you tried a bunch of different businesses. Some were successful, some failed. What was that like, and what did you learn?
Man, it's funny. Today we were looking at all the LLCs that I've ever made, and I was like, insane.
Right.
Yeah, I had like 15. List. So I saw some that I even forgot about. Okay. I saw so many like companies that oh my God, I can't believe I started that. I mean, man, you know, sky's the limit. I've just done so many, but I mean, I'll just tell you, man, like, I just didn't think about it, right? Like, obviously, I didn't know everything I was doing. How to make an LLC, open an LLC. Okay, how do you open an account? I will go open an account. Oh, you need an EIN number before you open that business account. Well, how do I get an EIN number? I gotta go to irs.gov and submit for one. Okay, then you have to figure out which ones you're gonna fill out. You tube that as well, like. And I honestly filled out the wrong information the first 2-3 times. Who knows, right? Yeah. However, it's like, okay, I got to the point where I have a bank account. Okay, everything else can get fixed. And like, I think a big thing that we should always talk about is like, if you file taxes wrong, like, it's okay. Like, you can sometimes retroactively fix it, and like, there's certain things that you can amend it. Like, people are freaked out. Like, I can't start because if I file it wrong, then I don't know, I might get stuck. I'm gonna get audited. I'm going to jail. I'm like.
It's okay.
Dude, you can amend it. You know, you have, as long as you didn't do anything illegal, obviously, but you can fix things.
Absolutely.
I think that's a huge one for people. But yeah, man, just like little struggles like that. Just getting started, man. I always tell everybody, get the first customer. Yeah. You don't have a business till you have a customer.
Correct.
So like, I wouldn't even make LLCs. I got to a point where I'm like, I'm making this LLC. I think my first one, it was like called the Where's the Party At? It was called WTPA, and then I was trying to do like this whole thing before Instagram. It was like you text WTPA to a number, and it will send you a list of where all the house parties were at.
Oh my god,
yeah, that's like a old.
You're also really smart though.
Like,
I mean, you're marketing early on in your life.
Man, it's just like just always thinking, man, what's next? Like we're in a cool position. Like Uber hadn't even came out yet, so like, but I did learn about outsourcing early on, right? Like I had a team with my old boss was like outsourcing to the Philippines, and I read a book called The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss.
Oh my god, tremendous book.
You know what I'm saying? And like it's a different level of thinking. How could I go back to college after reading a book that tells me that I can hire a person with a PhD in the Philippines for $400 a month? Why would I go back to college if I had that mentality?
Absolutely.
It's like, and now it's even easier.
Yeah.
Now it's ChatGPT will do half of the work for you.
The
now
AI is a game changer.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I felt like, I mean, man, all that excuse. I'll give you a quick like insight to that. I was in college. I signed up for I wanted to get my MBA. I went to my first business class, and I sat in class. This is literally second day. I sit in class and I'm listening to the professor, and he opens up the lecture with, "This is Business Management 101. You will only succeed in business if you're very lucky, like you win the lotto, or if you somehow can raise a ton of money and then like get bought out by like McDonald's or something." First day. And I'm looking at this guy and it's like, you have to have a lot of money, A, or B, win the lotto. Like basically what he said. And I look at him and I'm like, at this same moment, I had a personal assistant screening my calls for $20 a month in the Philippines.
It's nuts.
So I look at this guy and I go, I think honestly, I got
those who can't do teach. So I understand what you're teaching business.
I was like, well, this is clearly why you are. And then I find out later that he had a business. His partner like screwed him, or he failed at the business, and he was super bitter. I was like, why is this person teaching me business?
Yeah.
And I literally told him, I was like, honestly, you're completely mistaken. I'm literally outsourcing right now for less than $400 a month. I have an entire team that does everything for me. To the point where like my mom would call me and like someone in the Philippines would pick up, this is Giancarlo's phone, whatever, and she'd always freak out. So I'm doing that, and then I hear this guy just give me some shady advice, like just bitter.
Yeah.
I walked out and never went back to college.
Imagine how many college kids get in there.
There were so many kids in that class.
Get killed.
So many kids in that class, and I looked at all of them and was like, yeah, you guys should all walk out right now.
Yeah.
I was crazy. I was like, you guys should walk out right now. This is horrible.
That's
and
nuts.
But yeah, man, like that's kind of like, and it's a shame that was always like the education, right?
Yeah.
I love where it's going now. I feel like kids are so freaking smart. And now it goes down to the same thing. Are you the one typing in motivation in YouTube? Are you the one like popping in the CD that might give you hope to blow up or to maybe change your life? As long as you have that little itch, that could spiral out.
Yeah, and that itch is purpose. To me, that itch is something I think clicks, and I believe in mind, body, and soul. And in your mind, it's whatever chemicals your brain generates to get you motivated, and your soul is that fire. People talk about like, oh, I got the fire for this. This is your soul. And your body is like you have the energy, you have the willingness to. The alarm clock goes off at 4:30, and like I get up at 4:45 every day, and people are like, how the hell do you get up at 4:45? If you were going where I'm going, you'd be up at 4:45 too.
Yeah, I love that.
Because I get to wake up, I meditate, I read a book, and I've taught my kid this. I open my eyes, I stare at the sun. I love watching the sunrise. So I stare at the sunrise.
Funny, I started doing that recently.
And I'm grateful, and I say all the things I'm grateful for. And by 7:30, I'm dropping off my kids. I'm on my way out to drop off my kids at school, and I've had a morning where I'm prepared mentally to attack my day. I've worked out. I've read a book. I've meditated. I've been grateful, and now I'm with my kids, taking them to school. Like, try to beat that by 7:30 in the morning. It can't be beat. So you can't throw anything my way during the day that's gonna throw a monkey wrench at it and ruin my day. It's winning from that point forward. If you know where you're going, you have a purpose and you have a drive for it, you wake up at whatever time you have to. You eat whatever ramen noodles you need to, and as life gets better, you'll continue to have that drive. To me, that's like a game changer.
That's it, man. I think that's like the best strategy in life, man. I think, like you said, my thing is like, if you know who you are, you know where you're going, and you know what you believe in.
Yeah.
You have like an armor walking into life.
That is true.
Any of those things that have any, like, if you have little holes in any of those three statements, I feel like you are gonna get influenced easily. You're gonna get discouraged easily. So like I think those are three things that you have to identify before deciding to get into something that's outside your comfort zone. Because if not, it's just going to be another habit that you mess up.
What are the three things? What are the three things?
Know who you are, know where you're going, and know what you believe in. Those are my three pillars that I made sure were super solidified for me, so that for me, I can literally build anything on top of it, and the hurricane can come. I'm still standing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
what are those three things for you?
For me, man,
in the spot.
No, they're definitely, for me, I take them very, very serious. So for me, who I am is like, I'm a person of integrity.
Okay.
I'm very resilient. I'm hardworking. That's like who I am. Just hardworking, resilient, and have good integrity. And my intention is always good. That's who I am as a person.
It's powerful.
What I believe, I'm a believer. I believe in God. I believe I'm a Christian. I believe that there's good in the world. I believe that I don't like to always think that people are out in a negative way. I always try to think that everyone's here for good, and there's good reasons for things, and things are happening always for a reason for me, not to me, right?
Yeah.
That's what I believe. And where I'm going, man, I'm going to exactly where I want. Wherever I put in front of me is what I get. Yeah. So like, I very seldomly never eventually gotten what I wanted, because I'm just so sure of it. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, now if I want to go travel remote and work from, I done it. Like, you know, like, oh, now I want to be more like spiritual. I'll do it. You know, like, oh, and like I was talking about this before in another podcast, which was like, my word becomes so powerful because it's a compounding effect.
Absolutely.
I can speak things into existence now because whenever I say I'm going to do something, I do it.
You follow through with yourself.
So like now my word is just like getting stacked to the point where like you can literally speak something into existence because like that's how it works.
Yeah, people talk about confidence as if it's something that you drink like a soup, or like you wake up in the morning, you read a book and you feel confident. And to me, confidence is a repetitive like following through with yourself in your word. And if you do that often enough, you actually go out there every day and say, today, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, this is what I believe in, and you follow through with that, then you all of a sudden start becoming more confident in your ability to do what you want to do. And then you literally manifest your life.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And that's where we're going to just keep going and doing that, man. I think that's like the overall goal. But I think like, how can something defeat you when you have those three things in line? You know what I mean? Like what you said, it's like the same thing. Like,
and you said you're Christian and God is first, and that was really a game changer for me. I have this this note on my phone, and it's the first thing I read every morning. Like, so it's like, I mean, we're all human like everybody else, and I've been through periods of time where I open my phone, first thing I do is go on Instagram, right? I'm looking for a dopamine spike, or I'm waiting for somebody to text me, and I'm like anxious about a text that I'm waiting for somebody, and I had to shift that, so I wrote, and they're not even affirmations. They're what I believe in, who I am, and where I'm going. And I read it, and the first thing I read is if God is with me, who can be against me? And I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I read that 10 times each, and then I go into who I am. I remind myself where I'm going. I remind myself what I am here to do, and it like. I jump out of bed. Like there is no. Fired up. Yeah. It's like as I'm reading, I'm already like on my way to just do whatever I gotta do. So it's really putting yourself in a position where you build the proper habits, and you come through for you first.
Facts.
One of the most difficult things for me growing up was I'm an empath. I feel what everybody else is feeling. I'm constantly aware of other people, and there was a long period of time in my life where I would put other people's needs ahead of my own. I think a lot of people struggle with this. So learning how to not feel selfish for putting myself first and saying, if there is no Edgar, there is no business. And if there's no business, there's no employees, and there's no salaries, and there's no clients, and there's no revenue. Take care of Edgar first. It's okay to hit that workout at 5 o'clock in the morning or at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, whenever you have to, because your health is important. Your mental health is important. It's okay to meditate. There are times when I'm like, I have a meeting in an hour. I have 30 minutes. I'm going to go to my car, sit down and meditate. I'm going to go read that book that I want to read. When I've taken care of myself first, I found that everything that I want to do for others becomes easy. When I put others in front of me, by the time I go to give myself something, my cup is empty. And you can't pour into yourself. And then you're going around like, hey, are you guys going to reciprocate? Is anybody here for me? And then you become someone different than you are, which is, I'm here to pour into your cup, but I don't have anything to pour into myself. So at some point,
you lose your light.
and you're asking for reciprocity. I like to give without expecting anything in return.
That's a big one.
But if I poured everything out, now I have to ask for reciprocity because otherwise my cup is going to be empty.
Yep.
And then I'm unfulfilled in my relationships. I feel like people are not giving back as much as I'm giving them. And then you put yourself in a really negative spot. So pour into yourself first, be satisfied with that. And then afterwards, it's super easy to get to others.
That's huge. I don't think people talk about that enough.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm also like that. I'm a very big giver. I hate asking for anything. I want to just give. Right? I want to.
Yeah, you mentioned giving value earlier. How you love to go to these networking events and give value without asking for anything in return. I'm the same way. I
just want to figure out how can I contribute. I think here as humans, man, we're all here to share.
Yeah.
Like we're all literally here to share. Like people don't realize that we're all connected, and with even people that you don't even know, you're connected to them.
Yeah.
And we're all here to share. If not, we would be born in an island by ourselves. We were born in a world with 7 to 8 billion people now.
Correct.
You're meant to share.
Yeah.
You're that's how we are like connected, you know? It's a real thing. And what you're saying about filling the cup is so big. I mean, I tell you, man, I struggle with that too. Like I would just be so burnt where I would give everything in every way, business, relationships, everything, where you get to the point where you don't become your best self anymore. You lose your light. You lose that fire in you because who's recharging Edgard's light? Like who's filling your cup? Like how are you supposed to go back? And you have to think of these tactics and these strategies. Like I'm gonna go meditate. I'm gonna go take 10 minutes for myself and read a book. I'm gonna go to work out. Those are things for you. Because even if it means missing a meeting, even if it means that,
I'm more important.
It's more important.
Yeah.
And like, dude, I've said it before. I was such a workaholic before. I would wake up at 5 a.m., take 3 hours of sleep, black coffee, because I thought that was the cool thing at the time. You know, like sleep is for broke people. You know, we all heard of that. Like, I grew up on that mentality. Sleep is for broke people. I can't be broke. I was born in a poverty.
Sleep when I die.
Yeah, I was born in a poverty mindset. Like, you don't need sleep. You know, and I'm just like, did I do a lot? I did a lot.
Yeah.
Did I do a lot of efficient work? No.
Absolutely not.
You get what I'm saying? Things I could have done in 2 hours, it would take me 7 hours because I was fighting my sleep all the time. I was trying to get out of my mental brain fog. Like, there's just so many things that's like silly because it sounds cool, but reality is it's trash. You should rest. You should be meditating. You should skip meetings if you're not 100% prepared. You should.
Yeah.
But that's not what people do because society has made it so
push you through.
If you're not pushing through, if you're not in that rabbit race, squeezing every drop out of that lemon, you are not like worthy, and you're not gonna make it, and you're not gonna be successful. And
I know
you
have that mentality. I'm not worthy. I'm not making it.
You just create so many limiting beliefs, which is so sad. Yeah. But what you say is so amazing, man. I'm happy you brought that up.
I think travel also has a lot to do with it. And you mentioned you traveled a lot. I wasn't born in this country. I think when you've seen other cultures and you've met other people, I mean, you mentioned you went to Thailand, you've visited a bunch of places.
I did Southeast Asia, Europe,
what was that America. Like, getting to know all those people and working and living there for periods of time?
First thing I said to myself, after reading the 4-Hour Work Week and like wanting to work remote, is said, I don't want to be an ignorant person. I don't want to be the person that has only lived in one place his entire life and thinks he has an opinion about something. How am I going to have an opinion about something if there's 7 billion people in this world, number one, and there's a ton of different countries, a ton of different cultures? How can I say what I know is even relevant? Yeah. Maybe we're wrong here in the United States. Maybe there's another country that's correct. Maybe in Miami where I live maybe there's a bubble in here. Maybe I should go to another state. Let me see what they think like. And reality is everybody has different opinions, has different thoughts. The way people talk about the United States and other countries is insane. The way like people in other states talk about like Miami and Florida is a completely different thing. They think we're a country, you know, it's insane.
I think we need a visa to get
Yeah, it's nuts. But bro, once you realize, like, there's one thing that I did realize from traveling everywhere is like everybody's a human being. And in every country, I don't care what language you speak, I don't care who you are, I don't care what business you have, everybody laughs, everybody cries. There's angry people in this world. There's happy people in this world. There's people that are like super serious. There's people that are very like just laid back. And it doesn't matter what country you're in. And that was so cool to realize. I'm like, dude, this is like a normal thing. Everybody's the same.
Everybody's human.
We all have the human characteristics. It's just some people are just more of this, more than that. Instead of thinking, oh, everybody from over there is just straight serious. They're angry all the time. And I'm at fault of that. I always thought like there's certain countries like, oh, they must be just very like strict. Everyone's like super proper. And then I was like, how ignorant am I, man? I went over there. I met so many people, and they were just like some people were just like cracking jokes, and some people were super cool. Some people were laid back, and then you had those other guys that were super serious. But you realize like there's so many different perspectives out there, man.
What was your favorite country to visit?
Man, favorite country? What to live or to visit? Like what? Like
both, each, one each. To visit first.
To visit, which was like just overall just random and cool. Man, it's a tough one, dude.
Yeah, that many.
I mean, I'm just thinking like I'm just trying to have like flashbacks of all like my little memories and stuff. I think what was pretty cool to me was like, I guess my experience in Budapest.
Okay.
In Hungary, because I just never been in a country like that, which was just different. I always thought Budapest like, oh my god, Budapest.
It's just far fetched. It's just so
far for me. Like,
and then you get there and it's like, oh,
I take it back. I take it back. Vietnam.
Oh shit, you went to Vietnam.
Vietnam was pretty interesting, just because I guess I've heard of like the Vietnam War, and I remember landing there and I'm like, oh my god, this is like the Vietnam War. I'm freaking out. Like this is how it must feel to like land here as a soldier, and I was just like, this is a big one.
Yeah.
And opposed to Thailand, Vietnam is definitely like, I don't think they're as like, I think Vietnam does have a lot of like, they have a city and there's like very like, there's some high rises, but not as much. I think Bangkok is like a very big district for like business.
Of course.
Vietnam, not so much. And I guess particularly where I stayed, I was just like, this is really something, man. So I had like a little motorbike.
You enjoyed it.
You enjoy it. And I learned like, so put it this way, I land in Vietnam, I get to the first restaurant I see, nothing in English, just see a picture of a snake, and I'm like, oh shit.
Oh.
I'm like, I hope they're serving snake here, and I can't even like communicate. I'm gonna eat this snake.
And you were by yourself?
Vietnam, was I by myself? I think Vietnam I went by myself.
Wow.
If not, one of my friends met me up after. I'm not sure, but I was traveling around. Like I had friends everywhere. We all traveled at the same time, and we would just meet up in different countries.
Okay.
Because somebody wanted to do like a solo trip. To like, I want to go to Finland, and they would take off. We'll meet up again in like Vienna, Austria, and then we just kept doing stuff like that.
That's really cool.
But yeah, that was super interesting. Vietnam was just such a culture shock, man. Like even more than Thailand, to be honest. Because Thailand, I feel like they already understand what people are looking for. It's kind of touristy. Like I scuba dived into, like, I went to like different islands and I scuba dived. And it was cool, but I didn't feel like as remote as it was in Vietnam. I was like, this is.
And what about to live? Where would you live?
To live, I probably live in Spain.
Okay.
I probably live
Ibiza?
in Spain. No, not Ibiza. I actually really like Madrid, man.
Yeah.
I really like Madrid. I think I could live in Madrid, even though the only takeaway is I need to be by the ocean. Yeah. So I probably would like always go to Barcelona or something like
Barcelona's
that
beautiful.
during the summer.
I hate their soccer team, but I'm a Real Madrid guy.
Yeah, but no, I think I definitely live in
Barcelona.
In Madrid, at least in the winter.
Gotcha.
For sure.
Gotcha.
How about you?
You're mentioning culture shocks.
Yeah.
Everybody has this notion that New Yorkers are assholes and they're rude people. So I lived there for 3 years, and I would visit for business. It's not the same. I probably thought the same. I was like, everybody's rude and but I realized New York is just a fast-paced place. And Miami isn't. Miami, everybody's at their own pace. Everybody lives in Cuban time.
Yeah.
You can get to a meeting 10, 15 minutes early. People, it's kind of expected. It's not how New York works. So if I'm out to get the 6:30 train, I'm going to get the 6:30 train. And if you're asking me for directions to, where your photo studio is, I just don't have time for you. Yeah. So I'm going to put my headset and I'm going to get to where I have to. 6 months of the year, it's colder than it is in Miami. So people are like, I have my hat, I have my coat, and I'm going, and I'm worried about myself. Yeah. So there's also 8 million people in 11 square miles. So I just think it's just a different place. But the reason I bring it up is because 6 months into me living there, I was a New Yorker, and like my family would come visit or somebody would come visit. I'm like, I don't have time to take you to the 9/11 Memorial. So it's cool. You can go look. This is the train you take. This is what we'll meet up for lunch afterwards. I got things to do.
Yeah.
So it's more of a get shit done place. I got shit to do. I got things to do. Yeah. I'm gonna go get it done. And you kind of become that. When I came to Miami, I was like, bro, why is everybody going so slow here?
Why is everyone late?
What happened? Right. So it's definitely a culture shock, but I loved it. If I could, I don't know what it's like post-COVID, but pre-COVID. My partners and I used to say this thing where it's like, I would open every business I could in New York. It's really? A great place to go do business. Now, I had my first kid. He was 8 months when we moved there. That was difficult, right? That's like you high rises. It really is the concrete jungle, and you're like, pushing a stroller around. It's difficult in the snow and the whole thing. But But outside of that, I absolutely love my New York experience. And now I love New York. Like,
That's interesting.
I love New Yorkers and their mentality, and like, people make fun of it, but I think it's just a matter of where they are. As far as places I've loved and enjoyed visiting, we owned the gym in Dubai, and to me it was like, man, I'm going to this 16-hour flight, and then you get into a place where you don't know the language. Kind of probably you in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Even though Dubai is very touristy and whatnot, but it was
Like culture shock a little bit.
I was expecting, and the first time I went, it was during Ramadan, so it was like it was like hiding to drink water and 100%. Shit. But like,
oh wow, that's right, you can drink water.
You can't drink water during the day in public and whatnot. And we had a fitness facility, so a lot of our female trainers wore like short shorts and a sports bra. You're like, no, you got to get dressed to go to the supermarket and whatnot. And listen, you respect people's cultures, 100%. and I love that about the fact it was just completely different from the States. But what I encountered was kindness. What I encountered was laughter. What I encountered was, our women, are covered up, but we're happy still. Like, correct. It's Ramadan. I've been fasting during the day, but at nighttime I go to the gym and I have a smile on my face and I'm happy. And they were extremely welcoming. I visited the most expensive restaurants. I hit the Burj Khalifa, and I had a drink at the top, nice. And I saw the whole city. But that same person that took me there took me to old Dubai, and we ate with our hands
in there
off a normal place.
So cool.
And it's like the greatest experience. So when people ask me about Dubai, I talk about me eating with my hands more than I talk about the Burj Khalifa.
I know.
Because
isn't that crazy?
That is when you really get to experience the real thing.
Yes.
I've been to Costa Rica, I've been to Colombia, and every place that I've visited, I think the same thing is when I get to connect with locals, when I get to connect with the lifestyle that is there, is when I really enjoy the experience of being there.
That's so big. I always tell people that too. Like, they ask me, oh, what was your favorite thing? And all I think about, and I tell everyone, when you die, I'm not going to think about the freaking car that I had and that I flew in a private jet. I'm going to think about, wow, that day that I hiked that mountain, I was with like my two good friends. We were cracking up, and at the top of the mountain, we smoked a cigar. Like, that's all I think about. Yeah. I'm not thinking about, oh yeah, I got to eat at the most fanciest restaurant at all. Yeah. And it's funny you say that because I went to Dubai, I think last year. Yeah, it was last year. And same thing. Dubai is such a cool place. I think they did I think it's such like an it's so impressive.
Yeah.
However, like, I wanted to, the first thing I said, like, let's go to the locals, let's roll. I want to talk to the people here. I want to see what they do. I want to know where they eat. Like, I don't want to know all the same tourist traps, And I went to old Dubai, same deal. Like, we went to this little restaurant, and it was so good. Like, we had been eating at, like, Nobu, and we've been eating at these fancy places. Same thing. And I'm like, dude, let's go to where the people are at. And like, it's such a different mentality, man. Yeah. Everyone's so happy. So happy. But isn't it crazy how it's not portrayed that way?
It's not.
Everywhere else except for here is unhappy and it's miserable. Like, no, man, these people are genuinely happy. Their lifestyle ain't too bad. Yeah. Granted, they could have better, like, situations, but overall,
not every place is perfect. But there is flashes of perfection in different places. Yeah. The United States included. We're not perfect here, but there are so many beautiful things about 100%. Our country. And when you go visit other places, I think, and this is what I was alluding to, is when you have the mentality of, I'm going to go see what else is out there and meet new people and connect and see different cultures. Now you get back and you have a different perspective for what 100%. Life is like.
100%. You don't see things the same. And you know what's crazy? I think the United States is the only country, and I don't think this is too factual, but like, it's one of the fewest countries that they don't send their kids off to travel at 18. Australia, when you turn 18, the parents are like pushing you to leave the country. Yeah. And they leave for like, and when I was traveling, I met a ton of Australians that were just traveling, like, after, I'm doing a year off once I turn 18, like, I was like,
New York has a ton of those.
That's super cool. And then in Israel, after you do your 2 years of like, I think, service, mm-hmm. you it's like customary to like go travel for like a year or two.
It's unbelievable.
Like,
that's college.
Wow. That's interesting, man. Yeah. Like, why are we not pushing that? Yeah, absolutely. We do study abroad programs, but everyone here is not sending their kid off. All right, you're 18, buddy. Go. Take off. Go backpack.
But again, I think if you raise your kids right, you trust them at 18, and you're like,
that's a big one.
Go live somewhere else.
Yeah.
If you don't pay a lot of attention to your kids, and I have 2 kids now, and
you're thinking about it.
I think about it all the time. is I work all day. My wife works all day, and if they're being raised by a teacher, and then we're not really spending that quality time instilling proper values in them, then at 20, 21 years old, they're going to be two idiots making terrible decisions and doing drugs and, fucking up. So how do you trust them to go abroad? If you do the right thing at the beginning, then you're like, you can push them out, and now they can go learn a new language, make new friends, and really build that foundational knowledge that you're not going to find in a college, you're not going to find in high school, you're not going to find anywhere else but traveling.
100%.
So I went away to college, and I'm a big go away to college guy. Like it taught me how to be a man.
Yeah.
The moment I opened that drawer and there was no underwear, no clean underwear, I was like, oh shit, I gotta go clean I gotta go do laundry, or there's no food. I ran out of credits from the cafeteria. I gotta go eat ham and cheese sandwiches for the next 2 weeks. You really learn how to become a man or a woman very early on when you go away to college, when you go away from home. I think that experience is 10x when you travel, when you go abroad.
It's like an accelerated program.
Yeah, correct.
Because now there's no phone call home.
There's no.
Like I would always think to myself, like, man, I just like took off. Like the first time I went to
How
Europe.
old were you?
When I went to Europe, I think I was like 23, 24.
Damn, that's cool.
And I went and I backpacked through Europe. I think I closed the deal, like a big real estate deal, and I just screwed them out. And I had just started like my other marketing agency, and I was like, before this thing takes off.
I need to stay this time.
I'm gonna ride out. So I went to Europe and I pretty much backpacked. It was like a backpack / like air, like hotel. Like I kind of did a little bit of both. But man, honestly, like staying in hostels and like meeting people was much better than like going and booking a hotel like reserved by yourself. Like why would I want to? Like what am I traveling here for? For that, from hotel to hotel, sometimes that doesn't get you the experience. And that's the reason I made so many friends. And for that reason, I have friends all over the world. I literally have friends all over the world.
That's so powerful.
That I know I can reach out to, and I still talk to some of them now, like in Greece, in Vienna, in Austria, in Budapest, in Thailand. I have a friend in Vietnam who's a cool entrepreneur, dude.
That's so cool.
I actually, you're gonna like this story. When I was in Vietnam, I met this kid. I walk into his coffee shop. I tried Vietnamese coffee for the first time. By the way, it's super strong. You think Cuban coffee's strong? I don't know what. Has it. Vietnamese coffee was so strong, dude. I'd never had it in my life. They give you warm water with it, and like it was insane. So I drank this Vietnamese coffee. Honestly, I thought I was gonna have a heart attack. But whatever. While I'm at the coffee shop, I see this guy on his computer, and he's on Facebook running ads. And this is like 6-7 years ago. And I'm like, what is this kid doing, dude? He was doing he was selling to soccer moms in the United States T-shirts. So he had built a group on Facebook back in the day. It was like the Teespring hustle back then. And I was watching this guy. I'm drinking my coffee, watching this guy like he's writing into these
making
groups.
A killing.
He made a group of like soccer mom group, right? And he was like the administrator. And you never know, right? And he'd fill it, and then he'd run ads to those moms, and then like pretty much like, oh, like best soccer mom, graphic tee. And he would just Teespring, the way it worked is like they would just make everything for you. You just make like a margin off of it. Okay. And he was just doing this full time. He was telling me he was making a killing. And in Vietnam, the conversion rate must have been insane.
It's nuts.
So he was crushing. So just imagine like
the friendships and the relationships.
Yeah, people in that world, they're just thinking about other things, man. Yeah. They're on some different pages,
Yeah, and life is lived differently. I speak to my family. I mean, so my mom and dad brought Randy and I here 25 years ago. And we were kind of like the catalysts for, unfortunately, Venezuela went through a really rough period of time. And we're the catalyst for the rest of our family to immigrate to the States. So we have seen this wave of family come over, and the common theme when we talk to them here is, man, when we lived in Venezuela, we used to see each other weekly. We used to hang out more often. There was more family life. There's more quality time amongst family. The way the culture is here is pretty much like you're going to work 9 to 5. At 5 p.m., you're exhausted. You go home, you have dinner, and you go to sleep, and you do it over the next day. And the weekends, everybody's kind of doing their thing on their own. Kids have soccer, and everybody's kind of on their own. We see each other on birthdays every once in a while, and that's it. So you lose that closeness. When I visited Dubai, I was like, man, families having dinner all the time, or like people are like, oh, we're gonna take a trip together. Like there is that bonding that you kind of lose in the Western society that I learned to appreciate again.
Damn, that's
through the travel.
That's through the travel.
How often do we see our family? Like we don't.
It's true. And look, I'll tell you, when I was just in Spain, I went for my birthday in November. That's why I guess I really do love Spain. But yeah, I was in Spain in November, and man, you see older couples. I'm talking about 90 years old, walking down the street, holding hands.
Yeah.
It's just and there's a lot of them. It's not I just saw like one. Obviously,
It's like a common
people
thing.
say like I have grandparents who've been married 50 years. Great, and so did I. I had thank God that they were married 50 years. But I never saw them out and about like the way I saw in Spain. Like it was just such an interesting thing to see. And just families always together. It was just they have the siesta in the middle of the day.
That's right.
You take a break. Like that isn't. I feel like United States is trying to get there, but it's so hard because we have such capitalism and everyone is like wants to just make more money. Yeah. But I always hear like, oh, people aren't gonna work on Fridays anymore. Like
4-day work week.
4-day work weeks, and they're testing, and I think Google's tried it, and a couple of these big tech companies have tried it, and I think they've actually seen results. Like rest is huge.
I have fellow entrepreneurs that have tried it in their businesses, and it's a home run. Productivity's up, efficiency's up, people are happier, they're able to retain better clients.
Man, I think for my manufacturing company, we're thinking about not opening Fridays and just maybe adding those extra hours that the employees would have made, like spread out through the week.
Yeah.
And then seeing if they're interested.
What they do is they switch. So this week I'll work Friday, and you don't, but I won't work Monday, and then the next week we switch. Yeah,
something like that.
So the business is open, clients are still being taken care of, but the employees are switching every week, and you either have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That extra day makes a huge difference. It's crazy.
Changer. And the thing is, think about it now. You can take long weekend like trips with your family.
Spend with your family.
Like now, I filled up my cup of family. Like one thing that I also learned early on, it's like, what's my like non-negotiable when it comes to certain things in my life? Like, what's my non-negotiable with seeing my family? Once a week, twice a week, once a month. There's some people that's once a year. My non-negotiable with seeing family is once a week. I have to see my family once a week. If not, I get into the new week feeling slightly off. Maybe once every 2 weeks sometimes. But after 2 weeks, if I don't see
something off,
I feel something's missing. I feel a void. And then you start feeling that imbalance. And it's like, okay, what's my non-negotiable for working out? I got to work out minimum 4 times a week. Minimum. Like that's a non-negotiable. Huge deal, like, and if I don't feel like I'm, you just start.
Was it trial and error how you got to your non-negotiables?
Yeah,
man. Yeah. So a lot of people are like, you have to at least this, and it just works differently for everybody.
You gotta see what works for you.
But if you don't get out of your comfort zone and you try different things, then you're never really going to know whether, like, some people are not morning people, and 4:45 is just you can't do it. It's fine. But you're a night owl, and now you're working until 3. So it's understandable. Yeah. But what is it that works for you, right? Yeah. The non-negotiable with the family is a big one. The having a routine is another one. What other non-negotiables do you have that are like your non-negotiables? So family, working out.
I think non-negotiables, like, so what I start feeling an imbalance in my life, like, it has to do definitely family, seeing them once a week, definitely the gym, going at least 4 times a week. And I think the other one is definitely like spirit. Like, if I'm not feeding my spirit, if I'm not going to church, if I'm not doing that for a while, I start feeling a little something, what I mean? I start feeling like, what's off? I'm not at my prime self anymore, what I mean? I think those are huge.
What part of you think is the one that's saying, like, because to me, now I'm aware of it. Before, I'm a very logical guy from birth. So the awakening of my soul and the awakening of, like, realizing that I have mind, body, spirit, and every single one of those areas has needs, has allowed me to say, like, when I'm feeling like, when I look at myself in the mirror and I don't have my pump, I'm like, oh, my body's asking me for the gym. I need to get back. But when I'm feeling down and I'm feeling like maybe not driven, then I'm like, my soul needs a little recharging. Yeah. Maybe I need to read a book. Maybe I need to, read the Bible, listen to a sermon. When my mind when I'm bored or when I'm not, coming up with new ideas, I'm like, my brain needs that book, that needs the audible. Like, I need to figure out what that is that I need to feed into myself. And that's when I came up with my morning routine, which kind of checks the boxes for all 3 of them. And then I have the balance that you're talking about.
Those are big. So, like, I do something similar when I wake up. I wake up, I'm a 5:30 person. Recent. I used to be. I stopped because I took it. I was obsessive about it. And I wouldn't rest. Okay. So then I became a little bit more laid back with that. But recently, like, I'm a 5:30. I love waking up early. Like, I'm a morning person, man. And I think honestly, if everyone's real with themselves, they're also morning people.
Everybody's a morning person.
We're all wired to be morning people. Yeah. It's normal. The sun goes up.
That's how we're wired. Yeah.
However, different jobs, different industries, it causes us not to be. Anyways, 5:30 is a big one. But I write down the 3 things I'm grateful for every day. I usually that's a big. Gratitude heals a lot of things, man. Yeah. And fixes a lot of problems. But 3 things a day. 3 grateful things a day. The gym, I'll meditate. I was doing 5 minutes. Now I do 10 minutes. I use like the Headspace app.
That's cool.
And then gym, right? But like, okay, for me, those are like little micro buckets. I still need to hit church up sometime, most of the time. I still need to see my fam, you know what I mean? The phone calls work, they're micro buckets, but you still need to because again, those are the things like we were talking about before that fill your cup.
Yes.
Those are the things that fill your cup. Those are your cup fillers. Yeah. So like, what a disservice to us if we're not filling our cup. If we already know, I bet you if you do the meditation for a week straight, you're gonna feel my cup is full. I can go pour into anybody right now. Absolutely. You know, same thing with your routine, your gym. So it's just interesting figuring out what works for you. And
if you tie that into money, which kind of brings our combo full circle, then you start saying, how much money do I really need? Do you need to be a millionaire? Mm-hmm. Do you need to be a billionaire? Do you need to make 10, 15, 20, 30? What's enough, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people, and I learned this from my dad, I love you, Dad. But if you don't have the amount that you are satisfied with, I'm not saying you should have a ceiling and a limiting belief of how much you can make. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, once you have your number, what after that, it's just to me, it's a scoreboard, and you're making money. But if you're happy, you wake up early, you check all your boxes, your cup is full. Now you're sharing with others, and financially, your family's taken care of. You have stability. Now it's play. And when I learned that, I said, man, I get to wake up every single day, go into my accounting firm or my incubator, or go to create content, and I'm going to go and give value to people, go help people like we helped you. And we get to really change people's lives for the better. That fills my cup, and I'm actually, it's like you're pouring into somebody, and when you come back, your cup is fuller.
It's back again.
But it's because you have that initial setup and the structure where you have enough, you have enough of everything but time, but you have to really set yourself up. And some people are unrealistic about what they need, right? So they're constantly filling the voids with the new car or the new purse.
Yeah, instead of filling those other pillars, right? Instead of doing what are your non-negotiables personally,
correct,
your meditation, your gratitude, your gym, or whatever makes you happy. They're like, I don't have time to do those routines. Buy a new car. Yeah. Buy a new jewelry.
Exactly.
Let me get this extra dessert just to I have these endorphins are rushing.
Short term,
yeah. Yeah. And yeah, man, I think that's
delayed
huge,
gratification.
I think then you create financial stability and financial growth for yourself, because the biggest problem with people and their finances is that they're impulsive.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
You know, I know where you're going.
I was guilty of it, man. I'll blow money no tomorrow. I'm I don't, because you're lost, you're roaming. When you're roaming, your bills go up.
Oh, man,
you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan, and it's but to have a plan that you stick to means you need to have your foundation. Those non-negotiables are key.
Yeah,
because
absolutely,
you really can't get swayed any other way. When you're gonna go spend something, you're gonna think, wait, does this actually help the lifestyle that I want?
Yes,
or does it not? Plan? Or am I just doing this impulsively?
Sometimes the Ferrari is part of the plan, and that's cool.
Great, yeah.
But you gotta have a plan. You gotta think about it, and you gotta be in a position to do it.
Yeah. No, man, I think that's amazing.
So what's next for Gianky?
Man, next, nothing. I'm scaling my manufacturer. I want to get it to $100 million manufacturing, be one of the biggest.
Okay.
For sure. Definitely once I grow, not to the 100 mil, but once I grow at least 5x for the manufacturer, I'm going to open a restaurant / lounge.
Okay.
Not so big like the clubs I have now, not so much like a sports bar, but definitely a more of a dinner setting with an upstairs lounge where it's more for you very people that are business owners and stuff like that. I want to create that setting just to have. So it's just something that I want to have
because you would enjoy it.
Yeah, I would enjoy it. Yeah. Everything I have is because I want it. I want it to fit my plan. I definitely want to open up a gym. I tried that once during COVID. It didn't work out.
We'll get it done.
We'll open up a gym 100%. So definitely I'll do a gym. I think what I want so far is a gym, a restaurant / lounge, scale the manufacturer. And then definitely just continue building my portfolio of real estate. I want to do a ton of I want to do I want to have a commercial real estate portfolio.
Okay.
That's it. That's literally what I'll have soon.
And in a professional standpoint, outside of projects, you mentioned you were somebody's mentee. Do you mentor anyone right now?
I have a lot of people that reach out to me. It's just crazy. Especially now that I'm really focused on my personal brand and I'm putting content out again.
Yeah.
When I did this a long time ago, same deal. I think people just love seeing someone that's authentic and real. It just automatically just makes you want to be authentic with them.
Of course.
So, yeah, I have a lot of people that reach out to me on Instagram. I always write to them I love that stuff, man, because I get it.
You were there.
I was there, and like nobody told me anything. So if I can save you heartache and money and time, dude, I'll tell you whatever.
That's not even saving them. It's like shadow me for a couple of years.
Yeah,
You'll see what you got.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking about it, man. Like if I definitely maybe somebody that like what my original like mentor / boss did for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll be there soon. I just don't wanna. I wanna make sure I'm ready to also have the bandwidth to also give them value and like that and that love and care.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely gonna. I'll definitely do that.
I love the concept of having. So there's 3 levels, right? There is you mentor someone, you are mentored by someone, and then you have at least one person that's at your level, and you're both pushing each other to continue to reach the next level, right? So if you have those 3, then you're giving, you're getting, and you're growing. And having those 3 levels is what a lot of the successful entrepreneurs that I've podcasted with and I've talked to is the strategy they follow. What's interesting is I've talked to a couple of millionaires or even billionaires in New York. We had I still do have amazing friendships with like hedge fund owners and big investors. And I'm like, do you really have a mentor? And he's like, of course. Like a lot of them are like, I might have 8 billion, but there's somebody with 250. Like 100%. And the higher up they get, the less real friends they have, and the more they value connection and real relationships. And a lot of them say once you reach a certain amount of money, it stops being about the money. It really is a scoreboard. And then you're like, what can I do to teach these people that I have real connections with that are not on my level to help them? So, and my partners and I used to talk about this all the time. Our board of directors meetings early on in our startup were so much fun because we were like, this is where the business is. This is where we are, and this is what we think we're gonna do. And then we had like CEO of Samsung, hedge fund owners, like big New York people, like literally shred our projects, ask us a million questions, try us, and say, hey, are you really going to challenge us on our projects and make us think differently? And we got so much out of those relationships that we're like so grateful. So at some point it became less about, oh, we have a board of directors in our startup, we raised X amount of millions. Right. It's more like, who can we surround ourselves with that are going to put us in a position to be successful? And that's when, I'm sure your relationship with your mentor, similar, was like you learn to appreciate the value of having people around you that are going to push you to be better and to be greater.
100%. So, I think one of the struggles though is that there's not a lot of people that are out there saying, hey, I'm a mentor, especially when you're put in a situation where you can't access mentors.
Yeah, of course.
Like my whole life.
The U.S. Census Bureau. The world population today.
I thought she was going to say some facts about, like, according to the Census Bureau, there's no mentors out there. So I was like, well, Alexa, that's a great statement.
Thanks, Alexa.
But if she was going to say that, it's true. Like, there isn't a lot of mentors that are reaching out to, I think, the people that are, like, kind of starting on their own.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of mentors out there for people that are already, like, like tech startups and stuff like that. But when you're an entrepreneur.
Because they're interested in equity.
And
but
they
they're
want
not
equity, or they just want to do high-level mentorship.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the kids that are, like, out of high school and they have no direction, no guidance, no nothing. And they're just, like what I did. Motivation in YouTube. And I'm like, oh, thanks, Tony Robbins. And I'm listening to this, and I think
Jim Rohn and shit.
Or whatever, right? Or Zig Ziglar. I'm just trying to figure it out. And then obviously I had the mentors around me, which are like small business owners who may be cutting corners, who I don't want to take that. Look, I'll take that attribute from you, but I'm not going to take this.
Yeah, correct.
So you get really good at figuring out, like, not everyone's a perfect mentor, but there's certain things that can teach you things from each person. So like, I think I had a lot of mentors in different capacities. Like I'm not
whether
taking
or not you knew they were mentors.
I'm not taking a relationship advice from that guy. But definitely I'll take his finance advice, or like
Correct.
I won't take, tax advice from this guy, but I'll take his, like the way he hires employees, and like his structure, like his emotional intelligence is great, but maybe not so much when it comes to like the way he talks to customers or the way he acquires customers.
So it's almost like an attitude of learning constantly.
You have to be coachable.
If you know you can learn from every single interaction, then you really can't lose, right? You're not going to learn everything. You're not going to do everything as somebody else is doing it, but you're going to learn whatever you can, whatever applies to you. It's from those relationships.
It's funny you say that. I just remembered something. So one thing I would always like pray to myself is like every time I met somebody, I was like, I always love, I want to be humble enough to be in a person's position at a moment's notice. That's how much empathy I wanted, right? So that I could understand the most valuable lesson of like a homeless person. I could understand when this person I'm talking to, I want to be in their shoes for a moment's notice. I would always pray that because I know if I can live through them, at least almost like that's telepathically, you could say, it's a bad word for it, but I knew I was going to get the most value because everyone's gone through different situations. But if I can speed through all those interactions just by kind of really being in tune to hearing what they're saying, dude, you're going to learn quick.
That's powerful.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to learn so fast. And that sometimes, obviously, my situation forced me to do that accelerator program. Yeah. I wasn't exactly getting coached by like Tony Robbins, right? But yeah, man, I think that's a big
powerful.
Deal.
I always tell stories about homeless people in New York. And in the winter, these guys go into... Or ladies, these people go into the libraries to stay warm. So, and the libraries can't deny you. So they go in there and they start reading books. And then when the library closes, they actually take out the books out of the library. They have their own library cards and whatnot. And New York has probably the most literate, and this might not be factual, but it is in my eyes, super literate homeless people. They're literally using the street light, reading books. So I would be walking to my house with my backpack, and you start a conversation with a homeless person. They're reading The Old Man and the Sea, or they're reading like these super, like, I'm like, bro, how many books have you read? 350 books. Like, holy shit. And you're homeless. Like, you really get to learn from anyone.
You could,
if you have the right mentality and the right attitude.
Yes.
To me, the next level of that is somebody's hurt you, if somebody's done anything bad towards you. How do you put yourself in their shoes, in their perspective, and say, like, even though I am personally feeling this way about what you did, I am still going to take the approach that you were mentioning, as far as like, I'm going to put myself in your perspective, whether or not I agree with your perspective, whether or not I agree with what you did. I'm going to try to understand why you did it. And then that actually tells you who that person is, good or bad. And then maybe it changes your attitude towards it. Because what I learned from that was that person hurt me because in their position, they were either forced to do that or they made a choice to fuck me over. And that's all good. But now I get to know who that person is, number one. But number two, I get to know about myself. Like, do I need to take this personally?
Right.
Do I need to be hurt by this? Am I going to give that power to somebody else? But you could only get that if you put yourself in their shoes and you get that 100%. Perspective. And then all of a sudden you're like, man, I'm not even going to take this personal. It's all good. You did what you had to do.
What you just said is like crazy. That was one of the biggest turning factors for me. And I actually talked about this in one of the videos I did. Is when I was 21, I had to call I went to the seminar that actually one of my mentors signed me up for, and I went. Life-changing for me. I had to basically clean my slate from 21 under. So my 21 years, I had baggage, trauma, et cetera, et cetera. And I had to call every single person that has done me wrong, lied to me, stolen from me, like caused pain, all that stuff. And I had to call every single one. And you're put in the position to understand why it's so valuable to do so. So I did. I walked outside, I called like 10, 11 people. And I'm talking about stepmom that I haven't spoken to in 11 years that I blamed for like my dad's death, for example.
Holy shit.
So I had to call her, tell her, hey, I just want to let you know that I'm sorry for blaming you for X. I always thought this, and this. I hope you can forgive me. And then she would literally just bust out into tears. Every single person I talked to busted out into tears. Why? And I always say, when you're authentic and you're vulnerable, it makes another human have no choice but to be authentic and vulnerable to you. I'm not talking about like point of tears vulnerable, not hey man, I really think that hurt me. You know, I'm talking about like, hey, look, this like something I've been holding. I want to tell you about it. Blah, blah, blah. People are gonna automatically pour back into you, and that right there, once you clean all that slate, you have no baggage. I literally have no baggage, and that's why I believe I can really manifest anything I want, because now my life becomes a blank canvas. The reason you can't manifest things in your life is because half of your canvas is still held up 10 years ago, or the stories you've been telling yourself that, oh, well, this person did this to me and that's why I'm like this, or that's why this happened to me because I'm X, Y, Z. Dude, you let go of all that. Now you can paint whatever you want.
100%.
That's why when someone tells me like that's easy. What do you mean it's easy? I'm like, yeah, just pick up the phone and call them. No, I can't call them because they're sleeping and because of this and because of that.
The story
I'm
that you tell yourself.
like, you just keep telling yourself these stories. Like, dude, where'd you get that story from? That's such a horrible mentality.
Yeah.
I bet you call them right now. What are they going to say? Hey, I was sleeping. Okay, sorry. This is what I need.
Correct.
There's certain lines to be around that, right? You want to be respectful too, but 99% of the time, no one's going to care.
Dude, how powerful was calling all those 11 people?
Oh, it's so incredible, dude. Like,
change your life, huh?
100%. Like, I literally was a superhuman for the next 2 years. Like, 100%.
Wow.
Which is why, like, I made one of my videos. I emailed the White House after that. I emailed the White House. I got a response. Spoke to the mayor. The mayor connected me with the Parks and Recreations director. I had my entire first event business sponsored for free. Sponsored like $15,000 for me. I had a negative bank account, maxed out credit cards, my mom's house in foreclosure. But the thing is, once you understand that mentality, you can create anything you want. You're just operating on a different wavelength.
Yeah. Like,
why am I gonna make an excuse? Oh, I can't email the White House. Why the hell not?
Because your account's overdrafted, you can't email the White House? Email the White House.
Dude, like, things come out different, bro. Like, and there's so many, and in those 2 years, I did so many things that are so out of character. Like I was speaking, like just another story of that. I was able to reach out to multiple people that had lumber. I had to build obstacles for my first event company. I emailed 1,300 people in a year. Okay, like direct email. Like it's insane. Think about how long that takes. Sometimes I would do like 40 at a time, copy paste, whatever. And I literally got everything sponsored for that event.
That's insane.
I had a guy come say, I don't know who you are, dude, but you're freaking crazy. Like you're so passionate, and people see the fire in you that they never were able to achieve. They want to help you.
Yeah.
So I got lumber.
It's just a different energy level. It's a different wavelength.
Crazy.
You mentioned wavelength, and that's like the key.
People just react, man. And I encourage people to always like step into that power, because you'll get anything you want. But it's uncomfortable. So I wanted to call people.
What was it in that seminar that prompted you to do that?
Man, you know what? Again, it's one of those things where I was already to the point where I learned everything in that first startup that I was like, I was like,
yeah, but this is a very personal thing, calling these people.
100%. Like I didn't even think this was personal too. This guy signed me up. I was in a room with 100 people, and everybody had to go up on a microphone and talk about, and you're spoken through a dialogue. They lead you through a conversation. Holy shit. Very interesting. And the person leading that forum is so present in life that they can tell if you're lying or not. Not that they're mind readers. They're not drinking juju juice. No, they've cleared so much baggage. They just know when someone's being authentic or not. And that is insane to me. So when I was like, well, dude, I mean, at the end of the day, I want to be a superhuman, right? Mm-hmm. You know, like, not really saying superhuman, but like I want to have everything that life could give me.
You want to live an extraordinary life.
Extraordinary life. And that's kind of what I did. I was like, well, if this is what it takes, shit, I got to burn all this baggage. Let's do it, you know? And that's it.
That is really fucking cool. Congratulations for that, man. By the way, bro. That's really cool. Hey, man, I think we've done it. How long has it been?
We've been here for a minute.
We've done it.
We've been here for a while. We've been chit-chatting.
But we definitely do it again.
For sure, man.
Bro, congratulations on everything you've done, bro. It's really... Come on. I mean, Siri's been with us, and
Alexa, Siri, shout out to them. They've been out here.
But we'll do it again soon, my brother. God bless you.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
That was great. Later, peeps.
That's it.